Good afternoon. I'm League Member Diane D'Imperio, and I'll be the moderator for the Gainesville City Commission candidates. Welcome, candidates, and thank you for joining us today. Gainesville City Commissioners perform duties like approving the city's budget, setting the millage rate, and approving ordinances and resolutions. Commissioners must continuously live in their district during their time in office. City commissioners serve a 4-year term and are limited to 2 terms. All residents in Gainesville are eligible to vote for the at-large position, but only those who live in the district may vote for the district positions, and we have one of each today. There are 2 candidates in the race for at-large, James Engel and Fareed Reed Johnson. And there are 2 candidates in the race for District 1, Michael Perkins and Desmond Duncan Walker. The format of the panel will be familiar to you by now. Each candidate will have 1 minute for their opening statement, and following the opening statement, I'll read questions that have been prepared by the League of Women Voters, and each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to answer. There'll be 3 questions, and we'll rotate the order in which candidates answer the question. And as you have seen, candidates can see the timer, which will indicate the time remaining, and then we have our little jingle that tells them when to stop. And if they don't stop, I'll mash on their toes in spite of the table. So please stop when your time is up. So we will now begin with the candidate's opening statement. You'll each have 1 minute, and we'll begin with the candidates for the at-large in alphabetical order. So James Engel, will you please make your opening statement?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. My name is James Engel. I'm running for the Gainesville at-large City Commission seat. Was going to try a sing-along too, but it didn't seem to go along very well last time, so I'm going to skip that. So I got into this race because I am tired of seeing people in Gainesville struggle. You know, Gainesville is a great place to live, but it is a hard place to earn a living. I think we can do better, and I really want to change that. You know, my background covers a lot of that. I'm the president of the local electricians union. I've worked as an apprenticeship instructor. I've served on the Alachua County Workforce Development Board. I've seen the difference that can be made when people have opportunities, and I want to be part of making this a better place for working people. So thanks very much, and look forward to this forum.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Reed Johnson, your opening statement, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Fareed Johnson. Those that know me call me Reed. As of yesterday, I am 32 years old. I'm a father. Currently serve on the Police Advisory Council. I've had the pleasure and opportunity of serving as both the chair and vice chair. I'm born and raised here in Gainesville. I'm running to offer a perspective that I find to be the most popular perspective, but the least represented, and that is the middle of the aisle. We have so many solutions to problems right here in our community, but unfortunately, party lines are getting in the way of us implementing those solutions. I'm running to knock down that barrier. Top priorities for me and my campaign are addressing public safety, our gun violence, our housing shortage, and the problems around our city budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll hear opening statements from our 2 District 1 candidates. Michael Perkins, your opening statement, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Perkins. I come here, boots on the ground, to not to serve, but to elevate my level of service. I serve this community. I've been on the front lines serving citizens that are hungry and homeless, in a food bank ministry, feeding those citizens. I've been mentoring our children, mentorship program, personally teaching kids from 1-year-old up to 2nd grade, teaching them the basics, teaching them mainly kids who are Title I, disadvantaged, single-parent homes, low income, teaching them just how to treat others, teaching them self-respect for themselves so they can have respect for others. I've served this community with the NAACP, and I also, thank you, I'll finish later.
Thank you. Thank you for your statement and for honoring the time schedule. So Desmond Duncan Walker, your opening statement, please.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the entire League of Women Voters and everyone who's here this afternoon. It is truly an honor, not just to be here today, but to have been blessed with the privilege of serving the people of this great city. Gainesville is a great place. My roots date back to its very beginnings. I am proud and pleased to say that my ancestors and forefathers were among those that helped to build Gainesville, and so this place is very, very important to me. 3 years ago, the members of District 1 elected me to be the voice for them, and I believe that I've been able to do that with a modicum of respect, compassion, and dignity. These years have been not just challenging, but they've been rewarding as well, as we have faced challenges at the city, but also in complete transparency, my own challenges as well. And I'd like to just say this, while I may not have been at every city commission meeting, my work speaks for itself, and may that work continue to speak for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we will give the candidates the opportunity to respond to our questions. Just as a reminder, you'll have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. The first question is, what strategies will you use to communicate with all of your constituents so that you fairly represent the diverse interests of the city's residents? And we'll begin with the candidates for the at-large position, starting with James Engel.
Thank you. So to me, the trick to being able to communicate with people is you've got to meet them where they are. So there's a lot of different methods and medias that you can use for outreach. And a lot of people are not going to be constantly tuned in to what's going on with their city. I think the strategies you can use are everything from town halls, for people that enjoy coming out and being physically involved and want to have a conversation, to virtual town halls and outreach online for people that either don't have the ability to or don't particularly like going out in public and don't have those options to make big events like that. Making sure that we've got an effective communications department inside of the city that can get information out not only on what the city is doing, but how those citizens can interact is going to be very important. But I think, again, the key to really effective communications is not choosing the type of communication that I prefer, but the type of communication that people prefer to contact us with. You really have to meet people where they are. Thank you.
Thank you. Reed Johnson, your answer, please.
One of the reasons why I'm running is because whenever we look at the crime in our community, oftentimes the individuals that are perpetuating that crime are individuals that are part of the least represented age, the least represented gender, and the least represented race. I'm running to give those individuals a voice. Not only that, but I also have experience being on the Police Advisory Council. I have relationships with individuals that are in many parts of government, as well as individuals that are currently suffering from the problems and the issues in our community. Individuals that may be currently in jail, incarcerated, individuals that are homeless. I know these individuals personally. I can give them a voice. Advisory boards, one of my 100-day goals is to implement a youth advisory board. We have to give the youth in our community a voice. Those youth are going to be the future of our community. We need to bring them to the table. Individuals that are perpetuating crime. We need to have conversations with individuals that have successfully exited the criminal justice system. Bring them to the table. Give them a voice. Mr. Engel mentioned town halls. That is great. I thoroughly believe in town halls. Why not have town halls in our county jail with the permission of our sheriff candidates or whoever wins that sheriff race? I plan on working with every sector of our community to give every individual a voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the candidates in District 1 will please answer the same question. We'll start with Michael Perkins. Your answer, please.
Yes, my strategy to communicate with the citizens is what I've always done. That's boots on the ground. That means I'll continue to attend meetings, school board meetings, the Children's Trust Fund meetings, the county meetings. Just continue to be there for the citizens. I want to continue what I'm doing right now, which is going to community meetings within each of those communities, homeowners associations, meeting with the people and finding out exactly what it is that they need. And I will be there. I think anybody that knows me, most people know me as Perk, but I've got my reputation for being there. I will show up for you. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you. Desmond Duncan Walker, would you like to answer the question, please?
I absolutely would. Thank you very much. This thing called the telephone is something that's very, very important, and it's critical. When you are serving in public office, it's always my goal to answer the phone. When you call my office, you'll first start with an EA, but she will send you directly to me, and I make it my goal to answer. I will get to you. It may take a little while, but you will eventually be gotten to. I want to circle back to the town hall discussion. That is a very effective way of communicating. When I first arrived to office, one of the first things that I did was a town hall on gun violence. I believe the name of it was From Community Problem to Community Solutions, and it brought out over 1,000 people. It is an effective way, and a way that I will continue to engage with the community because it gives you a voice. Those town halls, though, cannot just be conversations. One of my goals from that town hall, and one thing that did happen, was the collection of the data from it, because that data has to be used to help us move towards the solution. So town halls are an absolute wonderful way. Meeting the community where they are in the community, in their neighborhoods, is an effective strategy. People want to know that you care. They want to know that you'll reach beyond the doors at City Hall and meet them where they are. Meeting with the community, I think, is important in both town halls, community meetings, and also committee meetings at the city level as well.
Thank you. The next question is, what do you see as the path forward for the relationship between the City of Gainesville and GRU? It's a hot topic, but you still only have a minute and a half. I'm sorry.
Not nearly enough.
For this question, we will begin with District 1 candidates. Desmond Duncan Walker, you get to take the first run at this one.
Oh, I thank you.
Not that you haven't thought about it.
Oh, my goodness. So anyone who has breath in their body understands the tremendous challenge that this community is facing at GRU. I think, as I've approached most things in my life, you must always start with diplomacy. I have seen individuals want to approach this from a partisan perspective. I have seen individuals want to approach this from an economic perspective. I will tell you that it is probably the most challenging thing that the city has had to deal with in quite a while. As I listen to my constituents, I've heard a number of things. I've heard constituents saying, I need my bills lowered because I'm having to make life decisions when I pull into GRU. Do I buy my insulin or do I pay my light bill? I am hearing constituents say, my light bill is higher than my mortgage. We are at critical mass. No one yet has arrived at the solution. So it is important and critical now that we all listen to each other. The commission has listened to the citizens who have come out and asked for a referendum. You now have that. You will have an option, or an opportunity, I should say, to vote in this upcoming election. But I think diplomacy in terms of the path forward with the City Commission and GRU is going to be the only way that we'll be able to get anything accomplished.
Thank you. No. Well, we have this fall forum, so we maybe have a little more time. Michael Perkins, your answer to that question, please?
Yes, I think, as all things, we all make mistakes. And the good thing about making mistakes is most of us learn from those mistakes and just try to do better. So this referendum gives us, the citizens of Gainesville, represented by our city commission, an opportunity to do better. You know, yes, we made some mistakes in the past, but yeah, we learned from those mistakes. So let us, not some outside board, but us, govern ourselves in a more constructive manner. I was at the budget meetings quite recently, and the city plan forward. They have a 10-year plan in terms of how they're going to approach that, and it's a way of. In the past, they were taking money from GRU. They created this big budget deficit. The plan forward is to stop doing that. What they're going to do now is take very little as possible. I think they're all the way down to like $8 million, which is going to give the Gainesville GRU a chance to balance its own budget and give the citizens of Gainesville a chance to govern themselves. So I applaud what the city commission is currently doing, our city manager is currently doing, and I think the path forward will work for us, and I believe that our commission will do a great job.
Thank you. Now we'll have our two at-large candidates answer the same question. Reed Johnson, would you answer, please?
Like I said, I was born and raised here in Gainesville, and I can tell you right now, my mother moved out of Gainesville almost 15 years ago. She's still complaining about GRU. And so with that being said, I see this as a checks and balances system. This gives us an opportunity to work with the authority board. This does not have to be a divisive issue. Citizens in Gainesville have complained about GRU for the longest. Pretty much that's all I remember as far as Gainesville goes. If you say Gainesville, I think GRU and I think about the complaints of people that I've heard. If this authority board is going to address the debt and the economical issues surrounding GRU and remove that burden off the backs of the citizens of Gainesville and Alachua County, they have my support. If they are willing to work with the city commission, they have my support. There's ways that we can replace the lost revenue. We have to focus on housing, getting more housing on our tax roll. We can address this issue. Two things can be true at once. We can address this issue and work together to make sure that the city commission and the GRU authority board both are effective bodies in government.
Thank you. James Engel, your answer, please.
Well, we've got pretty different feelings on that. As far as I'm concerned, the GRU Authority Board has been a disaster. It was created by two politicians who have repeatedly and overwhelmingly been rejected by the people not only in the city of Gainesville, but also in the GRU service area. It was snuck in at the last minute in a basement meeting in Tallahassee with very little public input. The original board that was appointed there, upon finally coming to admit that the positions they held, they were legally not allowed to hold, all resigned. Between the time they turned in that resignation and the time that resignation became effective, they continued to make very serious policy decisions, even after having said that they had no business being there. Since that point, I find it incredibly inappropriate that someone got appointed to the second board, use that appointment to fire the general manager, and then appoint themselves to what is probably going to be the highest paid position in the city of Gainesville. It is blatantly corrupt to me. The whole thing, in my opinion, has just been a goddamn clown show. And it would be funny if it wasn't doing so much damage both to the city of Gainesville and to the utility.
Thank you. The candidates for the at-large A position will be the first to answer question number 3, which will be our last question. What solutions can you suggest to deal with the persistent issues of mental health, addiction, and the unhoused in our city? James Engel, would you answer the question, please?
Certainly. If there was an easy answer, it would be done already. The truth of the matter when you're talking about these problems that we've got is that these are national problems. Everywhere in the country is facing the same issues that we are here in Gainesville on this. So what can we do that is going to set us apart from everyone else having these problems, and in what ways can we find local solutions here? It's not my area of expertise, but fortunately, we've got very good people here that are focused on this. So the good work that they are doing at Grace Marketplace, the good work that that we've got here at the, and I get the name wrong every time, the Schindberg Center for Affordable Housing here in the UF, all are excellent resources that have not only a good track record of actually making progress, but good data and are able to pull from experts in this field from all over the country. What they need is resources. And this is the type of thing that gets back to how do we as a city put a budget together if we've got a GRU authority that is changing whatever our budget contribution might be on a whim. What we need is to invest more in solutions to this, and that is the only way we are going to address these problems. Thank you.
Thank you. Reed Johnson, your answer, please.
So let me start off by saying that $23,000 per bed at Grace Marketplace is not only unsustainable, but unacceptable. We have to find a way to reduce that cost. That puts a financial strain on the citizens of Gainesville, which then in turn translates to mental health issues. This city is a tough place to live. It's a tough place to make money. And putting that type of cost burden on individuals is bad enough. Again, addressing the housing issue by bringing more housing into our market, that's the only way that we're going to reduce the cost of housing. It's not a materials cost issue. It's a supply and demand issue. The demand is way too high and way too heavy on the supply that we have. That allows property managers and builders to run up the price of housing around here. And again, that makes it harder on individuals, and that all translates back to mental health. Supporting our law enforcement. The addiction issue is part of the addiction issue is that our law enforcement is not able to get drugs out of our community fast enough. We have to improve the Gainesville Police Department staffing, bringing more officers into the community, making sure that those officers are trusted by the community. That way that we can work to get drugs out of our community. The homeless population has drug dealers that live amongst them. We have to get those individuals not only out of that community, but off of the streets.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from the candidates for District 1. Desmond Duncan Walker, would you please answer the question?
Thank you. In the last several months, I have urged my colleagues at the City Commission to make sure that we are putting the most effective and most experienced people on our Gainesville Housing Authority Board. And I'm saying that because the Gainesville Housing Authority is one of the agencies that is a critical piece in making sure that we are providing safe housing for those who are the most vulnerable. They also provide several different services and programs that fall into the categories that you're discussing today, from mental health as well as addiction. So making sure that that board is stacked with the individuals who know how to ensure that that agency is run as effectively as possible is something that has become a priority of mine. How we can also incentivize property owners or landlords to accept Section 8 vouchers. I'm talking about the most vulnerable populations among us who are finding themselves in positions where they're unable to find housing simply because there are individuals who don't want to rent to them because they are of a certain socioeconomic status. I think that the city can play a role in that. We've just got to figure out exactly what it is. There's a wonderful agency that I also just came into the awareness of and took a tour of, who is beginning to do the work in this space, and that's the Gainesville Opportunity Center. Obviously, I won't have enough time to talk about them, but I'd be happy to speak more about them. But there are solutions. It's a mammoth problem that's going to take an all-hands-on-deck approach, but there are ways that we can start to move forward.
Thank you. Michael Perkins, you get the last word.
Yes, thank you. The most complicated is the unhoused. There are some citizens that are unhoused because they're going through some economic issues. There are a lot of people who are residents, may not be citizens of Gainesville, but they live here, and they choose to live that lifestyle. They choose not to be housed. It's okay. And we must realize as a society that they have a right to live that life. And we must recognize that they are citizens, and we need to make room for them. Whatever we need to do to make room for them and their lifestyle, we need to do that. Mental health, something that always been with us, nothing new about that. We just need to recognize that they are citizens, and we need to recognize that when they're having these issues, our police don't need to treat them as if they've done something wrong. They have mental issues. We need to make sure that the police have the training to recognize what's going on and that it's more mental than it is criminal. And addiction is pretty much the same category. People go through different things. And one of the answers to what we're going through is drugs and alcohol. And so we just have to give people an opportunity to grow. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you again, candidates, for joining us and for your very thoughtful answers. We appreciate your attendance, and thank you very much. This concludes the panel for the City Commission.